Good evening. You're watching NTV's Grow. Harvest is on the downhill slide. We have your harvest report and yield information, record sales for farmer-owned co-ops, healthcare costs impacting farmers and ranchers. We take a look at a new survey and a proposal over Nebraska fields. This one you don't want to miss. It's all tonight on NTV's Grow. Thank you so much for joining us. Bean yields have been good this year. Aurora's Co-op West site manager sends in this harvest report. For beans, average yields have been in the 70s with some better fields coming in low 80s. For corn, dryland yields have been in the 125 to 140 range, and irrigated corn has been in the 220 to 250 range. Nebraska's farmers are catching up, though, on corn harvest. The U.S. Department of Agriculture says 55% of the corn was harvested by the end of last week, matching the yearly average. Harvest lagged the average by 12 percentage points the week before. The corn condition was rated 68% good or excellent. Soybean harvest was 94% complete, 6 percentage points ahead of the 88% average by this date. In Kansas, winter wheat planting is nearly done. The National Ag Statistics Service reported 94% of the winter wheat has now been planted. About 74% of the crop has emerged. The report rated wheat condition as 59% good to excellent, 38% fair, 3% poor to very poor. Progress is also being made bringing in fall harvested crops in Kansas. Corn harvest is 81% complete. Sorghum harvest reached the 53% mark. About 75% of soybeans have also been cut in Kansas. Sunflower harvest is 47% complete. Record numbers are being set for farm, ranch, and fishery co-ops. Records were set for sales, income, and assets in 2012, buoyed by strong prices for grain, farm supplies, and many other agricultural commodities. Sales by agricultural and fishery co-ops of nearly $235 billion surpassed the 2011 record by $18 billion. Record net income of $6.1 billion was up nearly 13% over the record in 2011. Ag Secretary Vilsack says agricultural cooperatives are a driving force in the nation's thriving farm economy because they are farmer-owned and operated businesses. The sales dollars and income generated are much more likely to be returned and spent in rural areas and communities. It's been a good year for farmer-owned co-ops with record sales, and 9 Nebraska co-ops make the list of the top 100. Aurora Co-op comes in at number 28 with over $1 billion in sales. Co-ops in O'Neill, Imperial, and York also make the list. The head of Aurora Co-op says we can thank farmers for keeping central Nebraska strong.
We are blessed. We sit on the Ogallala Aquifer, which is a great risk management tool. But beyond that, the farmer owners through this Platte River Valley know how to produce product and crop, and it is so rewarding to see a great crop come in this fall.
That crop is coming in on the wet side at Aurora Co-op, but yields and quality are reported to be strong. Of the top 100 co-ops in the country, 9 are based here in Nebraska. Only Iowa and Minnesota rank higher. Students who want agricultural commodities training experience will soon get the real-time hands-on training that they need. UNL Agricultural Economic Commodities Training Room is becoming a reality. Some donations are aimed at creating a state-of-the-art commodities trading room within the Department of Agriculture Economics. The trading room will allow students to develop and test trading strategies, merchandise commodities, and develop risk management plans in a dynamic, real-time learning environment. The trading room will also be used for outreach training programs and training events for producers, merchandisers, and commodity traders. And young farmers have huge hurdles to overcome, especially in pursuit of an ag career. 2 of the biggest barriers are getting access to land and finding enough capital or credit. The interest is there, but buying enough land and animals to start a cattle operation can cost more than $700,000. So some are working with a family on the type of operation that they are interested in and then gradually buying parts of it. Some also suggest another ways to set up a small side operation while working another job to show that you're serious. Commodity prices have gone down and people are wondering just what to do. Alan Vlanet, USL Extension Educator in Platte County, suggests starting point for rent should be about 30% of the gross revenue per acre, which would be paid to the landlord. He also mentioned this calculation to be completed by taking an average yield times a fall 2014 price at the local elevator or grain processor.
Well, the 30% number simply comes from the idea that if you were going to do a crop share rent, that you would have about 30% of the crop go to the landlord as their payment for the rent, and then the 70% would go to the tenant for doing the farming. And then the 30% share that would go to the landlord, they would pay no expenses except for their property tax and other land charges. So that's where that's coming from. And so I'm just applying it over to cash rent, saying that if we're gonna discuss what cash rent should be, let's go back to the crop share. And if the landowners are getting 30% on a crop share rent with no expenses, then that's about what they should get from a cash rent with no expenses. And so the whole thing becomes equal. But I think that we have to understand that there's supply and demand involved here, and we may not be able to get to this kind of a number, depending on where we're at with the rent right now.
3 Nebraska counties have been designated as primary natural disaster areas following damage and losses from that early blizzard here in October. Dawes, Sheridan, Sioux are all included as primary areas, while 6 adjoining counties may also qualify for assistance. Freezing rain, high winds, heavy snow caused many producers to suffer losses of crops and cattle. This designation now authorizes emergency loans for eligible producers. If you need more information on those loans, contact your local Farm Service Agency office. Nebraska produces much more than just hamburgers. You may not know tons and tons of onion rings are produced right here in central Nebraska. And NTV's Grow co-host Steve White has more on McCain Foods and the company's improved safety record and recruiting efforts.
There's a good chance you've eaten a snack produced at McCain Foods in Grand Island. Now, you may not know the name, but you know the names of their customers. Names like Red Lobster and Buffalo Wild Wings.
Our goal is to be the employer of choice.
Behind mounds of onion rings, corn nuggets, and cheese sticks, McCain Foods hopes its careers are as appetizing as its appetizers.
We would love to be the employer of choice.
That was the mantra as the plant offered a rare public look inside at what its 360 employees do.
Arguably the 3rd largest employer in Grand Island. We want people to know that we're out here.
And one of the safest plants, officials argue, from 27 incidents a decade ago to none this year.
Within McCain here, we've been recognized for our incident rates and lack of accidents, our performance in terms of safety goals.
The plant has several lines of products, from French toast sticks to brownie bites. But because the plant is hidden from traffic and the products are served by names like Arby's and Denny's, not McCain, they're trying to increase awareness in Grand Island as they recruit staff.
Our employee benefits start after 30 days of employment. Most employers are causing employees to wait longer. The full line of benefits, long, short-term disability, insurances, those types of things. It's a full package and certainly an attractive one.
This location recently won the company's President's Award, and the plant manager says it's the culture of safety that attracted him from New Jersey.
Grand Island was one of the plants that was recognized throughout the network as one of the safest.
Last year, they used 116 million pounds of onions, most of them shipped in from elsewhere, but they do use products from right here in Nebraska, including potatoes from O'Neill, shipping products from Hastings, as well as soybean oil and other items right here from Nebraska.
And check this out. Love over Nebraska fields. Soaring above the soybean field near Loop City, Bobby Smedra told Sarah to look down. And there, in the bean field, the harvested words, "Will you marry me?" Everyone was sworn to keep it a secret until Sarah came home from college Friday the 18th. She cried, laughed, and most importantly, said yes to this very special and unusual proposal. Congratulations to that happy couple. Healthcare costs and how it's impacting our farmers and ranchers. See what a recent survey has said. That's coming up next. Stay with us.